told you will speak to us afterwards. Senator Heller.
We'll do it after the interviews, all right?
Will you?
After the interviews.
So I'm not going to be escorted away from you.
Okay. You guys, everybody set?
Everybody's good?
Everybody ready?
All right,
Okay.
let's go.
We've seen this before, this interruption of public events. What's your read in terms of what kind of groundswell you're facing of opposition here, given what you heard, some of the interruptions?
Yeah. Actually, I don't think it's a groundswell.
Okay.
I think you have a small group of people that are frustrated, and I get that. And frankly, I concur with some of the frustration. I mean, as you're well aware of, is that I'm not supporting the House healthcare bill. I have some real issues with some of the directions that we're seeing coming out of Washington, D.C. But boy, I do understand. So I'm pretty clear on some of my positions as we move forward and trying to take these issues one at a time as they come before me in the United States Senate.
When we talked a couple of days ago, you told me you thought the House bill was a dog, is what you told me.
Yeah. That's pretty accurate still, by the way.
Well, there's news word emerging. You're trying to float some sort of solution on Medicaid. What is
Absolutely,
that? What are you doing?
Well, what I'm trying to make sure is that there's not $250 million hole left in the Nevada budget if this House bill were to pass. It just simply doesn't make sense. We have 200,000 to 300,000 people here in the state of Nevada that have insurance that they otherwise wouldn't have if it weren't for this portion, this particular portion. There's a lot of moving parts on the Affordable Care Act and the AHCA, and some of them I frankly agree with. And by the way, I do think that Obamacare was not the solution. But right now, when it comes to Medicaid expansion states like Nevada, I'm going to do everything that I can to protect those individuals that have health care today to make sure that they have health care tomorrow.
What do you want to see happen with pre-existing conditions? You saw what the House did, the $8.5 billion sweetener, which everybody,
it's not enough. It's simply not enough. And if you take a look at their high-risk pools and the kind of money that they're putting into these high-risk pools, I think it was $6 billion. It's not anywhere close. I think that number has to be somewhere between 13 to 15 billion in order to cover the individuals in these high-risk pools. So I'm a long way away, let's put it this way, I'm a long way away from agreeing to what the Senate is doing at this point.
With that being said, then, the idea behind the amendment is if enough other Republican senators move this forward, you're going to try to at least fix what would affect Nevada.
Oh yeah, in fact, I got a meeting with Secretary Price on Tuesday, and I'm going to share with him my concerns. And by the way, I've shared all these concerns with my colleagues back in Washington, D.C. In fact, at the luncheon that I spoke, Pence was there. So Pence heard my concerns about the state of Nevada. And I have made this argument, and I'll continue to make this argument, and that is, if Sandoval's not happy, and if this doesn't work for the state of Nevada, I won't support it. So we're working very closely with the governor's office, trying to find a solution to this problem, and it has to do with the growth rates for Medicaid expansion and how long we're going to guarantee these individuals that do have their health care to stay on the system.
So what exactly, you just talked about it, but for the dense reporter me, what exactly would the amendment do?
Well, I want
be
that
tying
growth
it to
rate.
what?
Yeah, to medical. To medical growth. In other words, there is a system and a solution out there that talks specifically about what medical growth is, and as you all know, it's high. I don't have to tell anybody here or outside this room how quickly medical growth is going up. So it has to be tagged to medical growth, and frankly, I'm asking for medical growth +2 to make sure that we do cover. So that we do cover, and by the way, that's probably 2 or 3 points above inflation, because medical growth is much higher than inflation, and we have to make sure that we reimburse our doctors and nurses and all the providers, including the hospitals, to make sure that they can take these patients. If you don't pay the hospitals enough, if you don't pay the doctors or nurses enough, they're not going to take patients. So it doesn't matter if you have insurance if nobody's willing to see you. So I'm trying to solve those particular problems, working with the governor's office on that and my other colleagues, and there are other colleagues in expansion states that have the same concerns that I have.
Let me ask you about Comey real quick. When we talked a couple days ago, you told me that let the process, the legislative investigations work right now, but if they hit a brick wall, you're open to an independent panel, independent prosecutor.
Yes, I am.
Given what the president said this morning, he tweeted out essentially threatening James Comey. Has anything changed your mind to move you more toward just go right to an independent prosecutor or panel at this point?
Well, responding to presidential tweets is an industry in itself. And so to avoid that, I do not respond to any of these tweets. I'll take a look at it, look at all these issues, and whether they're black or white, how they end up on my desk is how I'm going to deal with them. So I do not take any time or effort or spend any of my hours worrying about what the president's going to tweet next.
The president said yesterday on NBC News that he was thinking about the Russia investigation when he fired Comey.
Correct.
Does that concern you?
Oh no, everything concerns me at this point. Certainly, I'm uncomfortable with the timing of all this, and that's why I think an independent prosecutor should be on the table if, in fact, the Select Committee in the Senate and the House cannot get to answers.
So your needle hasn't moved either way since a few days ago?
No. I want to see the committees do their job. Keep in mind that there are 3 investigations going on at the same time, and whether or not the FBI's investigation has been compromised, I think that's questionable. But I don't believe at this point what's happening in the Senate, and we have a select committee on intelligence that's taking a look at this. And Burr and Warner are 2 very good senators, and I have a tremendous amount of confidence. But if they hit roadblocks, if they're not able to get the answers that they want or need, I believe a special prosecutor should be on the table.
Senator, how do you, the White House's explanation of why Mr. Comey was fired changes daily. The president's contradicted some of the staff. Does that concern you that you're seeing shifting explanations? What do you think?
Of course. Yeah, it's unnerving to think that this particular story changes on a 24-hour basis. But I'm trying not to pay much attention. He has the right to get rid of the FBI director if that's what he chooses to do. His explanation and his timing, yes, that's bothersome to me. But the fact that he did it, he had every right to do it. I just hated during the middle of this particular investigation that we lost Comey. And by the way, I don't have negative vision of Comey himself. All the interactions that I've had with this gentleman, he is a Boy Scout. When someone says he's a Boy Scout, this man's a Boy Scout.
Well, there's the reporting that emerged overnight. I think the New York Times broke the story that Trump had a dinner. That he asked James Comey on January 27th for dinner, and he asked James Comey at that dinner, would he be loyal to him, essentially?
Right.
What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, I don't have a comment on those specifics because I don't know enough. And so I'm not going to respond to all the questions, the concerns, and all the details because the problem is this. If I respond to it, it's just going to change. It's going to change tomorrow. So why would I respond to any of these dilemmas as they continue to progress every single day? And at the end of the day, I find myself having to backtrack on something that was said yesterday when the circumstances changed the next day. So I just simply won't respond.
It sounds there's some concern that there is an inconsistency, that is because of the fact you have to consider that.
Right. No, I told you I'm concerned. I'm concerned about all this. But again, I go back to the select committee on the Senate, let them do their jobs. And again, if they can't get the answers or they hit roadblocks, I believe that a special prosecutor should be an option. And by the way, we don't call for special prosecutors in the Senate or in the House. It has to be done by the
Department of Justice.
Department of Justice, that's correct.
Why are they not staffing those committees? I mean, there's hardly anybody on them.
Well, and I'm hearing conflicts on that too. That they're asking for more. They're looking for some money in order to do that. But they're pushing this issue, and they'll continue to push this issue. There isn't a time frame. In other words, there isn't a time frame this has to be done next month or the month after. But the bottom line is every Nevadan and every American has a right to know the answer to these questions. They have a right to know.
You're not a Trump guy. You weren't a Trump guy during the campaign. Now you're watching all of this happen. I'm trying to read your level of faith in this president at this point after what you've been seeing for the first 100+ days. What do you think of Donald Trump?
Trump is president of the United States. Trump is the president of the United States, and he's going to be president of the United States for the next 3 3/4 years. And so my job as a United States Senator is to help him succeed. And in doing that, everybody succeeds with that. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of dilemmas, and certainly I don't like some of the things that I'm seeing that comes out of the White House, and I try to avoid some of the questions that you're asking me right now because there simply aren't answers to it. There just simply aren't answers, and I don't respond to tweets because, like I said, that's an industry in itself. But my job and my goal as a senator in the United States Senate is to help him succeed because I want America to succeed, and I want all Nevadans to succeed.
You get time for one more.
Okay, one more.
Senator, are you planning?
In terms of I wanted to ask you a local question. In terms of what's been revealed with Attorney General Adam Laxalt and him going to the thoughts on that action? Was it
I
merited?
know very little about it except for probably what you read and what I read. So it's way too early to have any comments on that particular issue. I know they're going to have hearings in the legislature, and frankly, I think they should have hearings in the legislature. But beyond that, I don't have any comments.
Senator,
Thank you, Senator.